Hello, I guess we're live. I'm Trish Campbell. I am here today to talk with my dear friend Nadine Searle. She's going to be joining us in a moment, and we are continuing our Love Me Chit Chats. I think she's here. Let me just let her in. Hopefully that worked. I think. There we go. Hi, Nadine.
Hello, hello. Now I can see myself, but I can't see you.
Can you see me now?
No, I can't. That's strange. I did see you, and now I can see me and not you. What have I done
That's,
differently?
oh,
That's weird.
I'm
Doesn't
here.
matter. I can hear you. I don't know if I've done anything different.
Uh-oh.
No. Can you see me? Okay, and hear me?
Yeah, I can see you and hear you. You can't see
Right.
me. Do you want to start over again? We can start over again.
Shall we? I don't know if I did anything different, but yeah, shall we? Just quickly. I think Guy's
Let
just
me
joined on,
see.
but bear
Yeah,
with
like,
us if you've joined us. We just
can you see me
faffing
now?
about.
I shut my camera on and off.
No, no. Let's come out and come in again, shall we?
Okay. Or
Okay.
why don't you, yeah,
I'll see you in a
you go
minute.
out and come back in. Yeah, maybe that'll work. Okay, I guess you can see us both, but we'll see if this works when she comes back in. Hello, everyone who's joining. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your patience. While we wait for Nadine to join in again. Here she is. Let's see if that works. Or we may have to completely start over. Hi, Nadine. Can you see me now?
It's exactly the same as it was, but I can hear you. You can see me. Guys, just put a message. Thank you, Guy, that he can see us both. So let's just have
Okay. That's not going
it.
to mess you up that you can't see.
No, it's
Okay.
fine. You might reply. I don't know. I don't know. Let's not faff about anymore. Let's just get on with things. So I'm pleased to be here with you on this wonderful new moon day, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm so excited we're doing another chit chat, and today is the new moon in Sagittarius. It's also going to be Mercury retrograde. Mercury's stationing retrograde, as well as it's 12/12, so that's also an auspicious
Mm-hmm.
day or number in numerology. And so just want to touch on that real briefly because we do have that extra energy that's always there, even if we don't believe in these things in astrology or universal energies or whatever. It's there for us to access and to help guide us and support us. And I feel like this is a time where, with this new moon and Mercury retrograde and this 12/12, which is like all about positive change, also widening the lens, like seeing things from a higher level of consciousness, um, having, a clearer path forward from a spiritual and self connection perspective and personal growth. That's all around 12/12. But then Mercury retrograde always kind of forces us to stop and pause and slow down. And it's also a time to trust our intuition. I think especially this is the last new moon of 2023. So now
Yeah.
it's time to kind of like take the lessons that we've learned this year and really integrate them and think about what we want to carry forward and what we want to let go of, even though
Yeah.
it is a new moon. It's like what we want to focus our energy on, what we want to plant, what seeds do we want to plant, what energy or what do we want to energize. And so it's such a perfect time to be talking about this. We've been talking about
Mm,
change and how we, have that
mm,
natural tendency to resist it and how we can kind of move through that. And we've kind of segued into asking for help. So
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think this is the perfect time to be supported in that. And
It so is, isn't it? Because it just naturally goes on. Quite often when we are going through transition, a time of change. Like you say, we can be resistant, and sometimes that is the time to ask for help, and we don't always want to, sometimes because we're fearing the change, as we talked about before. But also, if anything, like I used to be, I didn't realise I needed help. I
Mm-hmm.
thought I could do it all on my own. Then when I did realise I needed help, I didn't know how to ask. I felt, well, I didn't know what words to use. I felt it was a sign of weakness. I know that's wrong
Mm-hmm.
now. I understand that now. But I was uncomfortable with it. So again, it's that. And I'm sure there's people that listen. There's quite a few people that have joined us. So hello to everyone. Please put comments in if you want to ask
Yeah. Hi,
again,
everyone.
because we can see, and later on we'll look back and answer. But, you know, if you can resonate with that, I'm sure people can, you know, even if we realise we need help, to ask for it sometimes is really difficult. And it was for me. And I have changed. I've learned how to realise I need help and really how to ask for it. And it's just one of those ever-ending things, isn't it? You know, like you say, change can be difficult, asking for help can be difficult, but we have learnt a lot, haven't we, along our way, along our
Yeah.
transition. And I've got to say, to start with, you know, the chats, as we call them, is because of me reading your wonderful Love Me book. And
Mm.
there is this, the original, there's poetry and a meditation version, isn't there? So I urge everyone to get them. But, you know, asking for help is buying a book sometimes, isn't it? Reading a book, you know. That is, I mean, I don't know if you'd call your book a self-help book or anything,
Yeah,
but
I would. Yeah.
it's helped me, and I know it helps a lot of others. It helped you to write it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, you know, that is a way of asking for help, isn't it? By getting a book. I can take it even further because I get to ask you questions about what I find in your book. So I get it even more. So I'm asking for help in that way. And maybe, you know, to start with, thinking about, you wrote these wonderful books, and you know, I'm in awe of you because it's quite a mammoth task, isn't it? Did you ask for help in the book? You know, did you get some help when you were writing? Was that something you were comfortable with? I don't know your process, actually. I haven't asked you that before, have I?
Yeah, that's a good question. You
Mm,
know, this goes back to like what you were saying about it's being hard to ask for help because we think, you know, nobody would understand, or if we might feel like we're in a position of weakness because we do, you know, you are asking somebody else to support you, and that
mm,
is a vulnerable place to be. But I knew when I started writing and all that, like I opened up to like being vulnerable and
yeah,
sharing what was going on, and yeah, I did ask for help
yeah,
um from people like that were in my support system, and that wasn't always easy to even
mm,
just because it's much easier to be in the position of offering the help, as you know. And
yes,
but I
yes,
know we there are things in our lives that we go through that we're not meant to go through alone. Number one, because like it's okay to not, like, we all, while we all have our own paths and timelines and walk through our own experiences and they're unique, there are parallels in those, and we can support each other. And knowing when to ask for help and to, you know, share some, even to share something with somebody, and then feel seen and heard. I mean, that in and of itself is huge, especially if you're healing from grief or you're going through grief.
yeah,
Um, and I just think it's so important to talk about this, to kind of make it more common and normalize asking for help, and it's not this like stigma of weakness around it, because
yeah, yeah,
we, you know, and we don't know what anyone is going through. So sometimes, you know, it even helps to come, you know, and offer that and make it easier for people to ask for help. But there's
mm,
also
mm,
like different ways for asking for help as well. Like it's not just
mm.
asking somebody else. Like, wouldn't you agree?
Totally. And it's really interesting you say that, because
Oh, it froze up again.
people
There
don't
we go.
realise that people need help. And sometimes
Right.
I know I actually was very much one of those people that went, oh, they haven't asked me if I'm all right. People haven't asked me if I need anything, you know, expecting people to know. And actually, they didn't know. So it was something I needed to ask. I needed to tell people I needed help, because obviously I was putting out those vibes that I was coping and I wasn't necessarily. So when you said that, it really hit home to me about, yeah, we don't know what people are going through. and sometimes offering, it's people can say yes, they can say no, but offering is really good. People
Mm-hmm.
might not pick up straight away, but they might a bit later on and remember. And I mean, most people know, a lot of people know what I've been through this last year. Personally, I've been stretched in my asking for help. It's one of the lessons, one of the things that's been brought to me. And having to, put my trust and my faith in asking for all sorts of help from a medical team to start with, from my friends, my family, from everybody really. And I'm getting offers of help from perfect strangers. It just fills my heart so much that I get so much help. Again, we've talked about it before. This is me then learning to receive a bit
Mm-hmm.
more as well. But it is so interesting, isn't it, that I have got more comfortable with asking for help, but as I say, this last year it's pushing me even more, and I'm having to be vulnerable and going, because I don't know, I'm going through stuff I've never experienced before. Why would I,
Mm-hmm.
learning all the time and having to ask questions all the time. Going, can you help me? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
And from even to the silliest little things, they might not be silly, but after my surgery, I had to wear a compression bra, and I had to get help putting that on. So I had to ask for help in something that I felt very vulnerable with, very
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable with, to be honest, and asking for help with driving to my chemotherapy appointments, because I wasn't going to be driving myself, and asking people, and then what you get back is so rewarding because people want to help.
Yeah.
They like to be asked. Always remember that. If you're scared of asking for help, always remember people like to be asked. They can always say no if they can't or they don't want to,
Mm-hmm.
but they do like to be asked, and sometimes they're waiting to be asked. And
Right.
I've had so many messages from people going, I don't know what to say to you after my diagnosis. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do, but I'm here for you. And that is
Oh,
just, it's so moving. And some people I've gone back and gone, oh, there is something you can do. Some people I haven't thought of anything, but I said, thank you very much. I'll remember
right.
because I will remember. It's in my heart.
Yeah.
Um, so it's wonderful. So that coming from that angle about being the person that's uncomfortable asking for help, it is quite rewarding when you do get over that and ask for help, and what you get back
It
is so,
is. Yeah.
so
And
beautiful.
I think number one, we all deserve to be supported and
Mm,
are worthy of that. And
yeah,
not deserve, we're all inherently worthy of that, of that connection with other people. And I think that's what I think. And somebody commented, Raquel, in here, that she has to get over the prescription that it's a sign of weakness or disorganization.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
we don't want to show our humanity. It's
yeah,
like
mm,
we're walking around pretending that everyone has all their ducks in a row all the time and everything is
mm,
like perfect. And it goes back to the asking for help, like from a mental health standpoint of,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
we don't, there's such a stigma around that, like, because we're so conditioned to want everyone to be okay, and we're happiest if we're, life is good, everything's perfect if everyone's okay. And when somebody's not okay, it kind of like disrupts us because we're not used to, we don't know how to handle that discomfort.
mm,
And
mm,
it's just because we've been conditioned to only, that perfection is the ultimate goal of
yeah,
everything
yeah,
in every aspect of life, and it's not. Like, we've
mm,
forgotten that we're human in trying to fit in society.
mm,
And
mm,
so this is where we can kind of undo that, resistance to asking for help and thinking it's a sign that I'm disorganized, and, oh, what will people think? That's my big thing. Like, what will people think? And so it's like, what I've had to kind of overcome and heal, and it's still always ongoing. It's not anything that's ever finished. And there are going to be times when we are the person that needs help, and there's times when we're the person that's offering help. And
yeah, yeah,
I think it's easier too to offer help to people versus receiving, because then we know, like, in our own personal, like, private way, that we're not the only one. And
yeah,
so that's going
yeah.
through that. But
That that
it's okay. It's all about, bringing forward that we're human and not forgetting
yeah,
that piece
yeah,
of it.
totally. And it is something, isn't it, to to actually say, I need some help with this. And then you realize other people need that too. And they're grateful that you said it so they can say it. You know, you open it up, don't you, for other people by going, oh, actually, I need to ask this question. You know, I need to have help with something that maybe I thought I could manage on my own. And then other people go, oh, yeah, I need help too. I'm glad you asked. And then they can ask, can't they? So it opens it up. And again, this is one of the reasons we have these conversations, don't we? Because we know that it will help other people know that we've felt the same, we've been through the same feelings. And I think,
Right.
you know, when I was talking about, you know, all the help that I've had since my diagnosis, you know, it's so far reaching. And as I say, it's
Mm.
overwhelming for me, the amount of help that I get. And you personally, you know, you've really helped me with your wonderful Reiki that you give me through across the miles, you know, but not just that, just actually always there for me, always there for me. I know that and I feel that all the time. And you know, sometimes it's just being heard, isn't it? You know, I can
Hmm.
say things to you and you hear me and you understand and you hold that space for me. And it's just so wonderful to know, you know, we've never met in person, we are so many miles away, but you've got me. And
Yeah,
I know that I can just, you know, the slightest little message and you're there for me and you'll give me whatever I need. And it blows my mind that we can do this. And as I say, you're not sitting right next to me and it works beautifully. And your Reiki is just, oh, it just does me so good. And that is, again, asking for help from something bigger than both of us, isn't it? So for
it
people that
is.
don't, there's a lot of people that probably don't know when I say Reiki what that is and how that works. Would you like to talk a little bit about that? Because I know you do that with so many people, don't you? This is something you offer.
Sure. I always love to talk about Reiki. I mean, for people that don't know what it is, it's the universal life force energy that flows through all of us already, and it's just channeling, like we all are energy. It's just channeling. So Reiki is channeling that energy and directing it into, or channeling into the body. The energy has its own natural intelligence, so it will go where it is most needed. And this is the thing about, you know, how it's like asking for help, because sometimes we need help and we don't even know what the help that we need is. Like, what's on the other side of that help? Like, I just, or, you know, it might be like you touched on, like just somebody to hold space while I talk and just listen. And but what Reiki does is bring up the unknown within us, because we store emotions in our body. Emotions are energy. um, and we store a lifetime of emotions in our body that we don't even realize. And when that emotion is stored in the body, and it is a negative emotion, it's a negative memory, it has that negative imprint, it will start to, if we don't move it out, it could start to create dis-ease in the body.
Yeah.
So we have like that opportunity to um, kind of, you know, use Reiki as a tool to bring up whatever it is that we may not know. Some of us know, but sometimes it goes deep. Some of us know what our wounds are already, but sometimes it goes deeper than that. And we also carry 7 generations of DNA in our bodies that also contain trauma, so that we may not even be aware of. So we can say, "Oh, I had a perfect childhood," or, you know, nothing bad, traumatic, or whatever happened to me in my life, so I'm good. But that's not always the case. And so it's allowing ourselves to be open. And I think that is like the key to asking for help, is to be open and not be afraid to I guess, face the unknown, whatever that is. So the unknown about what's going to happen if I ask this person for help, or what's going to
Yeah.
happen if I just allow myself to be and be it, like in Reiki. Or, you know, you're talking about the work that I do and how I've supported you, but you've also supported me in that exact same way, or in a similar way with your own methods and your gentle questioning and all of that. And that right there, like even that process of asking questions
Mm.
is a way of
Mm.
asking for help. And I know that, like, there's other ways we can ask for help too, um, which we've also talked about. If you want to maybe elaborate
Yeah.
that a little bit more,
Yeah.
versus, you know, it's not just asking somebody physically for help.
Yes.
There's other ways.
There's so much more, isn't it? There's ways, and it's something that I learned when I was realizing how uncomfortable I was with asking for help. And I just want to trail back a little bit on what you said there, Trish. is that actually sometimes we don't know what we need. And I
Mm-hmm.
used to be like that. I thought I can't ask for help because I don't know what I'm asking for. I also used to think I've got to know how they can help me. I've always got to know the answer. So that stopped me asking for help. And actually, like you just described so beautifully, we don't need to know. We don't just actually saying, I need some help. I don't know what I need. I don't know what it is, but I need something. That is enough, isn't it? Because we will get it. And Reiki is a perfect tool for that, isn't it? Without a doubt. But it is, and that was those two things, actually not knowing what I needed help with, not being able
Mm-hmm.
to ask in an eloquent way, maybe, but also thinking I needed to know what they needed to do for me, stopped me asking for help. So those two things, and again, I'm sure people can say, oh yeah, I've done that too, because it is something, I think it's quite common.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a little note, thank you for that,
Good.
good point.
Yeah.
But it is, and I think as well, it's very much, there is I did a podcast quite a while ago. I was part of a summit, Mind, Body and Soul Summit, and I did a podcast that actually talked about asking for help, this
Mm-hmm.
actual topic. And what I talked about was three different ways of coming at it. And I'll say very briefly, you can all go to, go and have a look for this. It's on my Karma Self YouTube channel. If you can't find it immediately, then send me a message here and I'll send it to you in a private message. But actually, it talks about asking for help from others, as we're talking about now, asking for help to yourself. And you mentioned that earlier, Trish, didn't you? You're using your intuition, and we know
Mm-hmm.
we have the answers ourselves, but we don't always listen, do we? We don't trust ourselves. So sometimes going inwards and asking yourself for help is really valuable. And listening, that's another thing to do. Listen to the answers. And again, looking at the universe. And that
Mm-hmm.
Reiki, I don't know if would you say, Trish, Reiki is part of asking the universe for help? Because it is in my
I think it
mind.
is. Yeah. It's asking for the universe for help. It's that universal
Yeah,
life force energy. And
yeah,
it's also in that process, like, I mean, every practitioner has their own way, but I always ask for support
yeah,
from ancestors, from angels, from spirit
yeah,
guides, whoever,
exactly. Mm,
and our higher self too, that also
yeah,
knows it
yeah,
all and remembers it all. So it's allowing ourselves that, like, it's such a good point that you make. Like, we tend to get stuck in thinking that asking for help has to, like, look a certain way, and it doesn't.
mm, mm,
It's about going with what we, being internally guided, listening to our intuition. So that's one way of, like, directly asking your intuition, which is also your inner child as well, because your inner
yes,
child
yeah, yeah,
knows,
mm,
and or knows what you might need, and
mm,
really just being open to that, but also asking the universe, like you said, like putting it out there, speaking it out, writing it,
yeah,
speaking it out. And that's, like, ties in so well with the new moon right now, because it's about
yes,
our
yeah,
intentions around, like,
mm,
we can set intentions, and ask, to be guided, or to be let known, like, help, give me a sign of what I need to do next.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then stay open to that. And I always say, like, and just from experience, the more I ask for signs and the more I pay attention and be open to receiving them, the more they're going to come, and they will be communicated in the way that makes sense to you, the way that you can interpret them. So everyone has, like, there's different ways, even loved ones.
yeah,
I know people, know this too, like, from their own experience, when a loved one has passed and we say, like, whether it's a parent or a child or whoever, like, how they, like, what was meaningful to them, and they'll find ways that get your attention, and
mm,
they will
mm,
keep trying to get your attention until you pay attention. So
yeah,
it's like they'll
yeah,
they'll communicate in the ways that they know you'll understand. and
yeah,
and so it's like through all of these ways that we can become wholer, and be supported, and um also tied into this energy that we're in right now, of just being in, like, our whole self, being in this higher level of consciousness, which collectively we are in, and moving, continuing to move into higher consciousness, like, individually and collectively. So
mm,
I just think that, yeah, like, there's so many things that we can do to ask for help,
mm,
and
yeah,
just, trust whatever kind of comes in the moment,
Yeah.
and to not be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes it's a bit of a leap of faith, isn't it? Like I
Hmm.
said, you don't need to know what you need help. You don't need to be able to say it properly. You can be a total mess and go, I need some help. I don't know what I need. I don't know. But you can still reach out, can't you? You can ask. And you've actually got one of your lovely poems. I'm not going to read the whole poem, but a couple of lines from it, if I may. It's on
Sure.
page 232 in your Love Me book. And the poem is called Affirmations. I mean, I would
Hmm.
encourage everyone to read it. And maybe we'll put it out later on, in a post or something.
Hmm.
But just two lines from it that say exactly what you've been saying here, Trish, if I'm okay to read it. And it is, I'm always divinely guided and supported. My angels, ancestors, spirit guides, and higher selves are always with me. And that's what you just said, wasn't it?
That,
they're,
yeah,
they're always there. We just need to stop, sometimes listen, look, ask for help in that way, listen to what's coming back to us, take note, because it can be in any kind of sign, can't it, that we can
it
get these messages.
it can be. And that reminds me that I also asked for help from a medium at one point, and in my healing journey recently, over the last few years. And he told me, he said, your ancestors, your loved ones are standing there waiting for you to ask
Mm.
them for help. They
Yes,
cannot just go ahead and take, initiative on their own. They have to be asked for help. So
yes,
it's so
good point,
important to remember
good
that
point.
they're there
Yeah,
to help us and support
yeah,
us. And they are part of that universal energy. Like, it's just one big continuum. We happen to be on the physical plane right now, and eventually we will not be. We will be on the spiritual realm, and just like they are. But that is, we're all connected. We just have to tune into it. So,
yeah,
and with all the density of our lives, and the way our lives are structured, like, it's so clouded with noise that we can't always get there. So
mm,
it's like,
mm,
again, the perfect time, especially with Mercury retrograde, to remind us to stop and pause and
yes, yes,
rest, relax, review all the
yeah,
re's,
yeah,
and to and reconnect with
yeah,
our inner self, with the universal energy, with everything that we have there to support us.
mm.
Um,
Yeah, the
yeah.
universe is doing it already, isn't it? And you're so right. And I think as well, just to remember that, you know, this is a season for slowing down and listening and
Mhm.
hibernating a little bit. And I think again, it's valuable to do that, isn't it? To reevaluate. Traditionally, at the end of the year, people look back over the year and sort of sometimes they give themselves a hard
Mhm.
time. But to look back, I like to look back and go, oh, I've managed this. Look back with celebration. It's a time to do that, and that's where again you get a lot of help if you just take that time, don't you? Evaluate and look to that, and really and feel. Just give yourself that stillness and that peace, and in meditation, in whatever way you want to do, just to hear the messages that the universe might be giving us, or we're getting from ourselves. Because
Mhm.
while we're keeping busy all the time, we're missing those, aren't we? And where you said about you know people like to be asked for help. Our guides like to be asked for help, our ancestors. I worked with someone a while ago with guardian angels, and she said they can't help you unless you ask. And
Exactly. Yeah.
oh goodness, and it was that same feeling like you just said. She said they're there, they're waiting, but you need to ask them and be specific. And I thought,
Mhm.
oh, and I was quite excited about that. I thought, they're waiting for me to actually say what I want, and they're going to give it to me. And
Mhm.
that's why people that have faith, pray to a God, and actually, and they get what they need. So it can come in so many different shapes and forms, and it can be, you don't have to put yourself out there and feel too vulnerable if you don't want to, but that's something I would encourage people to do because it's well worth it.
Mhm.
But there are other ways, aren't there? There's quiet ways, there's peaceful ways that you can actually ask and receive, and that's really valuable for people to experiment with. Maybe find a way that works for them. Another couple of lines, if you don't mind, from your book, I'd like to read out, because this is an example of how you help others.
Mhm.
Um, it's on page 93, and it's just a couple of lines where you actually state, I have helped others and inspired friends and family to seek out healing and supported them on their journeys. And
Mhm.
that's what, you've done that for me. You're doing it for me constantly. And again, this is something you do, isn't it, with your
Mhm.
work? It's something that you help. yes, it's Reiki, but it's in so many different forms, isn't it? It's part of you, isn't it? That this is what you offer people. So again, you know, you've written it in your book.
Hmm.
I've just taken it out of context, but it really is, you know, you're there to support, I'm sure, friends and family and everybody as well, you know. Have you got any little examples of that where you sort of helped someone, or something that you'd like to maybe do in the future for people?
Well, it just, when you were reading that, it just brought up something and I kind of lost it already, but I think that like in, I guess being in the like on a healing journey or being open to healing like that also opens us up to um or allows us the kind of the ability, I guess what it's all about is it's empowering. We're not letting life
Mm,
happen to us, but we are
yeah.
kind of taking the pen in hand, or the driver's wheel or what steering wheel in our own lives, and allowing ourselves to go down that unknown, uncertain path, but
Mm,
also staying open to whatever comes in, because I do believe that like things happen for a reason, and people come in and out of our lives for different reasons and for different lengths of time, and we are such in this like um time of like where linear time is like dissolving, and we're in this universal energy. Universal time does not have, it's not a straight line, it's a spiral.
yeah.
It's constantly, you know um it's not linear, so it's, yeah, like in a spiral. It's always flowing. And so I know a lot of people, and I myself have said this too, like I can't seem to keep up with things lately, like
Mm,
everything's moving so
mm,
fast and all of that.
it is.
So I
Mm,
think this is
mm,
like, you know the perfect opportunity, like we talked about at the beginning of this, to with this new moon, with this being the last new moon of the year, with this being Mercury retrograde, to stop and take pause, and to go inward and trust our intuition, and to set intentions around,
mm,
like maybe, if it is like, you need help in some area, and but you haven't, but you've kind of been avoiding that and thinking you can go it alone, but
yeah.
we're not
Yeah.
meant to go everything alone. And
Yes.
so, and
Yeah.
it's okay to ask.
Mm,
And so maybe, that could be an intention this um for this new moon. And Misa Ray said, yeah, I'm experiencing future, past, and present,
yeah.
sometimes all in one moment. That is
Yeah.
that's the timelines that we're in right now. We're not in
Mm,
this linear timeline where everything is like, so we have our schedules, our calendar. I'm just getting chills. We have our calendars, our meetings, whatever planned. And then like we're late, or we forget, or because there's so much, we can't operate in that linear way anymore. We're just not, that time is not, time is so fluid and fast, and in a spiral that we can't keep up. And
mm,
yeah, time seems to have dissolved as the way we knew it before. Exactly.
mm. It is. There's so much
um
going on, isn't there?
so
You know.
that
So,
is the way, like coming back to what I said about not just being a like let life happen to you or be a victim of circumstances, but opening up to healing in general, remembering who you are, allowing yourself to be guided from within and be empowered in asking for help. That is empowering
it is. It is.
in and of
Mm.
itself.
It so is, isn't it? And I think that's so right, that there is so much going on at the moment. If you are tuning in, then it can seem quite chaotic and busy, can't it? Because it is a lot going on. But to know that that's happening for everybody, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's a universal thing that's happening. And I think you're absolutely right to realise sometimes that it can be a process where we do need to um, connect with someone else, you know, and actually feel that. Sometimes um, it's nice to be in a group sometimes, isn't it? You know, have a meditation group or a healing circle or something like that,
Hmm.
because actually it is, like we said at the start, you know, this goes so hand in hand with change and how we transition and how we are healing constantly. One of your parts in the book that I've been rereading, it's on page 195, a chapter where our healing is never finished. It's so true,
Exactly.
you know, it's
Yeah.
so true. And you can go over and over things, and we, like I've had, you know, relearning lessons that I thought I knew, you know, it's all come back to me again this year in a different shape, a different form.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I've had to ask for help because it's all come up in a different way. And again, if you don't mind, to just read out a little paragraph that you say here, that again, sometimes this is what we go through when we are healing and we're learning and we
Mm-hmm.
are in pain, you know, and this is beautifully put, you know, when that moment of sitting in discomfort of our pain is happening, it's important to allow yourself to fully sink in and open to all the feelings that are present. Don't fear the darkness, sink into it.
Mm-hmm.
Let yourself be absorbed by it so that you can release it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so beautiful, isn't it? And again, I've got chills just reading that. I love reading your words
Oh,
out
thank
loud. They just mean so much to me when I read them out loud. But you said that earlier, didn't you? You know, that
Mm-hmm.
kind of, there is fear, isn't there? It is sometimes painful. And again, you know, to let yourself lean into it, I love that expression. And you go through it, that flow comes. The Reiki definitely helps with that. That's something I experience with you constantly. That helps. But actually, just sitting with that pain sometimes. I do it myself in meditation. I help clients with it. It's one of my 6 steps of my program, sitting with difficult emotions. Another bit that goes hand in hand with that is what I call gentle questioning,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes we don't know what we need to know. And I do, like say, you do it with the Reiki. I do it with meditation and suggestions sometimes. You know, sometimes I use tapping with people, and answers come up that we have no idea. You know,
Exactly.
we
Yeah.
don't need to know, you know, but we can just start that process if we do lean into it. Sometimes ask for help, you know, to ask for someone to help facilitate that for you, to create that flow of energy sometimes is so beneficial, isn't it? But you know,
Mm-hmm.
we can't do that on our own. It's so wonderful to do that with one other person, or as I say, sometimes in a group, it helps, doesn't it? The
Mm-hmm.
energy is different, isn't it? And it really helps us to like I said, actually just reading your words out loud, that has a different feeling for me when I read them out loud. That might be the same kind of thing. I just thought that as I was saying it, really. It's just so different than when I read quietly to myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I love that.
yeah, it's
And it's so
wonderful.
true. And it, all of these things, like you touched on too, like, I mean, there's the Reiki and then there's the meditation and asking for, like, these are all, they all have like a symbiotic relationship, meaning that
Yeah.
like Reiki leads to things coming up that we uh, maybe need to process or reflect on, or it strengthens our intuition, which then we know like what we need to do or where we, you know, we stay open to a sign or maybe think, huh, today I'm going to ask somebody for help with this, or I know who to ask now, or like stay open to somebody coming in that I could ask for help. So they're all like interconnected, and each time we allow ourselves to go through and lean in, whether it's through Reiki or whether it's intentionally through meditation, and allowing ourselves that space to kind of come back to that the energy that's flowing through us, the inner divine wisdom that is inside of all of us. We all have that. Then, you know, that's where we can allow ourselves to, you know, to be empowered, to heal, to continue to grow on this path.
Yeah.
And asking for help is a part of all of that.
Totally, totally. And
Mm-hmm.
it is something that, you know, there's so many different ways, isn't there, that really we can and experiment. And like I said earlier, you don't need to know what you need,
Mm-hmm.
just actually asking. And sometimes that can be difficult when you are in a bit of a mess, like I said earlier. But that's when it's so important, isn't it? And as I say, leaning into that, even if it hurts, even if it's painful. And like I say, you know, I felt quite uncomfortable asking for help, but it's so worth leaning into that pain and going through it and getting some support, because you
It
don't know
is.
what's going to come up, and it's overwhelming and as I say, mind blowing sometimes when you've actually go, oh, you know, you realise that, oh, you get it from someone else's point of view, and they say something back to you in a different way, and you go, oh,
Right.
there's that
And
as
it,
well, isn't there?
it
It's just
is.
feeling it in a different way and getting, and as I say with you, you know, you do it for me all the time. I'm heard, you know, and that's really, you know, it's a basic need
Mm-hmm.
for me, especially to be heard
To be
and
seen and
understood.
heard. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It so is. And again, you know, reading a book, I can read, and I've read so many of you. I reread paragraphs and everything here in this lovely book. Um, that I just go, oh, Trish understands me because you say something that I can really relate to. So, and I'm sure people reading all sorts of books, you know, will get that. But anyone that's reading your book or has read it, you know, you're going to resonate with some of these things. And that again is you're getting help through reading what you've shared with us, Trish, is one little experience. So while I'm
Yeah.
holding your book up with all my
Thank you.
little notes, where can
I
people
do.
get this? For people that don't know, where can they
I,
get it?
I mean, the easiest place is on Amazon worldwide, but you can also go to my website, thisisTrishCampbell.com, and find all the different ways that makes the most sense for you. And I appreciate your support. And I want to say too, this is my story of healing, and I shared it because, and that was also like, offering help, but also like bringing everything together because it's my story, but we all have parallels in our lives. Like what we all walk our own timelines, but we all can find parallels in each other's story. And like you said, you touched on it, feeling seen and heard is like one of the most important basic needs. And I also want to say that if people want another place to start with this is to go to your YouTube, and you have a new moon intention setting
Yeah,
video, as well as the podcast that you mentioned about at 3 ways
yeah,
to ask for help. So I think those are two good starting points, especially for this energy we are in now. Quick
yes,
and simple and basic
yeah,
fundamentals to get you
yeah,
started on and setting intention for this new year. Like I said, taking the lessons of 2023, and even though this is the Gregorian calendar and not our natural new year, it's still a time of kind of reflection, especially with the Mercury retrograde. So,
mm, mm,
um, and just, taking
definitely.
note and what we want to carry forward with us and what we
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah,
So,
so true. Yeah, on that point, if anyone wants to look up, as I say, there is a new moon. I do a new moon ritual, creating intentions, setting intentions, whatever you want to call it. There is a video on my YouTube channel, so thank you for pointing it out, Trish. If you
mhm,
can't find it, my YouTube channel is Calm Myself. If you can't find it, that particular video and the one I mentioned earlier, the Asking for Help podcast, then put a message here for me and I will send you the link to that specific video because there's a lot on there. And sometimes I
mhm,
know people scroll through and they go, I can't find it. But I can point you directly at that. But you need to put a message in and I can send it to you. Because I think
yeah,
on Instagram it does, I can't tag things in, can I? Might be me, but I don't think so. So put a message and I can send it to you privately if you're looking for something specific on there you can't find. It's
yeah,
very, very, I can make it easy for you. But I
okay,
think coming back to that new moon energy that we've got, and I'm so aware of how much we can talk forever, it might be an idea just to keep it really simple this new moon today, this evening, and actually just set an intention to
hmm,
ask for help. We don't, even if we don't feel like we need anything, I'm going to be putting that in my ritual this evening,
yeah,
just going, I'm asking for help. I don't need to know what I'm asking for. I don't need to know what's happening. Things will come to mind, but keep it simple, and also be still, be peaceful, be calm, and actually listen to what comes up. It might not be immediately, but sometimes things come up a bit later on if we're ready to receive again, and that's something I'm learning big time. Receive, receive, receive. So I love that.
yeah.
So
I
I would
was
encourage
just
you.
noticing that somebody asked how you spell your YouTube channel, so it's
Oh,
Calmer
lovely.
Self,
Thank you.
and I put
Thank
it
you.
in the. We'll put it in the when I
Thank you.
post this replay. We'll also put it in the caption as
Yes.
well. But
Yeah.
thank
Good
you.
point. Good point.
This has been such a lovely conversation as always. I love
Yes.
having these
Thank
chats
you.
with you and just like extrapolating out what was in the book and your questions, but just like as we navigate life, and these are the things that so many people are working through right now. Thank you, Lisa Ray.
Thank
Um,
you.
so and yeah, so I'm just so grateful that we get to do this together, and
Oh, I love our
can't wait till the
conversation.
next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And any suggestions for what you want us to talk about, then please put them in the messages. We will look
Hmm.
and we will answer you. But yeah, thank you so much, Trish. This is so valuable, isn't it? And I know we're
Hmm.
helping other people and we're helping each other. So I love it. We ask for help,
Yeah,
we get it. So thank
exactly. All
thank
right.
you.
All right. Much love, everyone. Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye for
Bye.
now.